Session we played this, I mentioned that we'd be cutting stream short a little early today. This game's gone over by like 40 minutes or so over the last 10 episodes of playing it, just because it can be hard to get to a save point if you're in the middle of a long sequence or in a storytelling part. So when we get to 17 hours on the live split counter in the corner, we're going to wrap then. That reboot thing, man. So today, the trailer for the remake of Reboot came out, and it's garbage. Like, I tried to imagine the worst possible way they could handle it, and it's worse than what I thought it could be. And I'm a pretty imaginative person when it comes to people screwing shit up. It's really bad. It's like, it's to the point where you have to wonder how many people looked at it while it was being made. They had to have been excited about it, right? Like, I don't know. There has to be a lot of people who are just shocked at the outrage, and I feel like you find even one person who liked the original Reboot, and you tell them about this idea, they'd be like, let's not do that. Yeah, I could not envision it being that awful. I think it's basically irredeemable. Like, normally you go into something like that and you think, well, maybe it's just a trailer, maybe the show's good, but if what's indicated in the trailer is what the show is, it can't be good.
Look, it's Kaim! Hey, everybody! Kaim's back! It's good to see you,
Kilalon statue. Tell me you're leaving already. Hey, Jahan, I'm sorry to hear that. Black Cave was sealed off by a ghastly sorceress. I think the Black Cave, that sounds familiar. I think that's where I stopped playing the last time I played this game. I got like halfway through it and then died and lost a couple hours of progress and didn't feel like returning to it. So that explains why I basically don't remember anything from the last couple hours of gameplay. Because I must have stopped playing shortly after getting here. Let's keep popping around, see what we can find here. Goats' military is coming out to draft new recruits. Goats is a separate entity from Ura and Numara, I think. I don't remember if I've actually interacted with it yet. I used to live here. You get to Goatsa without traversing through the cave, but with things the way they are these days, sealing it off is the right thing to do. So many secret areas and nothing to open up. Can't even look in the barrels? What kind of town is this? I should go in the house, I guess. Why don't we call it a day here? Not yet. Let me explore the rest of the town first. The guy who saved our village. Really valuable to us, but I want you to protect our village. Magic-powered locator. What the hell does that do? Yeah, sure. Whoa. Using the magic-powered locator, you'll be able to look for treasures hidden all over the world. Ascertain information on the whereabouts of them. Okay, so this is a reward for talking to randos? That's cool. We go. I like how it's almost mandatory to have a little cute monster thing in your JRPG. Dark Crystal Staff, Dark Crystal Ring. Okay. What does a Dark Crystal Ring do? Severe wind damage, extra damage against magical enemies, inflicts terror. And then the staff, I think, is something that Ming has to use when I get her back in my party. Alright, so I should continue talking to all the characters in the game, I guess. Hey, Serp, how's it going? Been in my fair share of battles. One day, just as I was swinging my sword, I thought, man, I wish I could have been a baker. Oh man, we're gonna open with a memory? Right on. Alright, let me work on my oral reading here. Hopefully we'll actually get working audio this time. The hero was home from the war. He had performed gallantly on the battlefield, advanced to the rank of general, and made a triumphal entry to the village of his birth. The villagers welcomed him with a festive celebration. Grown-ups were treated to drinks beginning in the afternoon, and the children received sweet confections. Cattle and sheep in the pastures that supported the villagers' livelihood, whether because they were excited by the unusual commotion, or were welcoming the hero in their own way, sent especially shrill cries reverberating into this blue summer sky. Stories called The Hero. General, you are the pride of our village. Obviously full of pride himself, the head of the village thrust out his chest as he delivered his congratulatory address in the welcoming ceremony. To think that the foremost hero in the army came from this tiny village is so incredibly exhilarating and gratifying. I'm sure our ancestors are overjoyed as well. The throng crammed into the village square burst forth with cheers and applause. Hey Kevin, how you doing? According to the official figures released by the army the other day, General, you brought down at least 2,000 enemy soldiers with your own hand. Holy crap. Thunderous roars shook the square. Come to think of it, the population of this village is less than 1,000. This means, sir, that you managed to bury more than 2 of these villages worth of your own. How fortunate for us that you were not one of the enemy. By any chance there had been a warrior of your caliber on their side, we'd all be resting in the hilltop graveyard by now. A few of the women frowned momentarily at this remark, but the men, full of liquor, responded with an explosive laugh. Sitting stage center, the general lightly stroked his dignified beard. No one present knew that this was his habit whenever he was perplexed. When he left his village to join the army, he was just an ordinary soldier, a long way from growing a beard. Right. General, you are truly the savior of our army, and indeed of our entire nation. I understand you'll be leaving for another battle tomorrow. We all hope that you will thoroughly enjoy yourself on this rare visit to your birthplace. The village chief ended his greetings and withdrew to the wings, whereupon the village's #1 entertainer bounded up onto the stage in the most comical way he could manage. Dear General, he cried, running over to where the great man was seated and going down on his knees. Oh, hear my plea. The general looked at him uncertainly. Is there any possibility that you would lend me the sword at your side, if only for a moment? Perplexed though he was by all this, the general, impelled by the audience's applause and cheers, handed the man his tasseled and jewel-encrusted sword. The man bowed deeply as the sword entered his outstretched hands, and again he cried, My gratitude knows no bounds. Pretending to stagger under the weight of the sword, he came to the front edge of the stage and held the weapon aloft. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I will reenact the event that raised our dear general's fame to the heights in a single bound, when he hacked 18 of the enemy into little teeny tiny bits. The audience cheered wildly, and the man with exaggerated movements and commentary swung the sword in a great arc. The audience knew exactly what he was doing. The general had not only made a name for himself for his strategic prowess, but was also widely acclaimed as a warrior on the battlefield. He did not rely solely on his weapons, but in the end leveled his opponents with his sheer physical strength. This, too, was a matter of the utmost pride for the villagers. I feel like this is going to be a PTSD story. Here we go. 1 man down, 2 men down, flip the sword back, 3 men down, 4th man slashed diagonally right through the shoulder, 5th man's head goes flying. Oof! 3 at once, 6th, 7th, and 8th man, what a bother. I'll just skewer you like this. The man thrust the sword through 3 imaginary opponents, and the crowd went wild. The general, too, broke into a smile and applauded. When he was through clapping, though, he stroked his beard again. I'm sure you can understand how I felt at the time, sitting up there on that stage, the old general says to Kime before taking a sip of water from his leather pouch. His magnificent beard is completely white, so distant are the past events he's recounting. Kime nods in silence, and the general continues as if mulling over every word. The more you know about war, the more you feel that way. I'm sure the villagers meant well. They just wanted to pay homage to their hometown hero. No, of course, they weren't being the least bit malicious. My village has the nicest people in the world, which is exactly why I found the whole thing so painful. I couldn't stand it after a while. Hacking 18 men to bits, the deeds of a hero are related in numbers. Surely the man who playfully swung the general's sword on stage that day could never have imagined the ones who lost their lives on the battlefield. The agonized expressions on their faces, the curse in their eyes as they stared into nothingness. But that's alright too. People who live peaceful lives don't have to know about such things. That's what people like us are for, to keep their lives far away from the battlefields. Don't you agree? Thanks to us and our killing of enemies, the people we're supposed to protect don't have to know anything about the bloodiness of war. Unless you believe that, what's the point of people killing each other? Kime says nothing in reply. Without either affirming or negating the old general's words, he stares vaguely at the general's troops. What'd you say your name is? Kime? I suppose you've killed more enemy soldiers than you can begin to count. There's no way I can count them all, thanks Kime. I thought so. You have a flawless build, the kind that can only be tempered on the battlefield. Only a man who has survived one battle after another can carry himself the way you do, with complete naturalness. How does a man like you find himself driving a horse cart over a mountain pass? Kime's ready to leave without answering if the old man asks him such a question, but the general inquires no further into Kime's background. Instead, there's a sense of relief in the smile he bestows on the sight of Kime resting his horses at the pass. Yeah, last session, there was a story about Seth, and it was actually kind of chipper. Back to mean old, grumpy old life is pain Kime. I was 16 the first time I went into battle. After that, I just kept running from one fight to another until I made it all the way to General. At first, I remembered the faces of the men I crossed swords with and killed. Even if you don't try to remember them, they get carved into your memory. I had terrible nightmares, and try as I might, I could never seem to wash off the stench of the blood that splashed on my face and hands. It was a hallucination, of course, but it got so bad once that I spent a whole night in a river trying to wash myself off. Lady Macbething it. The general paused a moment to think about his story and then went on. But after a while you get used to it. You get used to fighting and killing over and over again. Your body, your mind, and your heart, you just get used to it. That's how people are. So I stopped having nightmares. I killed all the enemy soldiers I could lay my hands on, and I forgot every one of their faces. It's the same for you now, too, isn't it, Kime? Maybe so. Right, Yukipo? It's like a curse. If you don't get used to it, your heart breaks. On the other hand, if you do get used to it, your heart probably ends up breaking someplace deeper down. The general casts a fond glance toward his resting troops, then slowly shifting his gaze far down to the foot of the mountain, he says, So that's what it was like for me back then, when I returned to my birthplace in triumph. The final event in the welcoming ceremonies, several children mounted the stage. And now, in honor of our hero, the children will present to the general a floral wreath more marvelous than the greatest medal there ever was. The audience went wild again. When the children put the wreath on his neck, the general favored them with a warm smile, the first honest smile from the heart that he had managed since climbing onto the stage. And finally, as a special treat for the general, who has been galloping from one battlefield to the next from his native place, the children's chosen representative will read his own original composition, spelling out the joys of the peaceful life of the village. I'm sorry. With a look of grim intensity, a small boy barely old enough to go to school unfolded his composition and, gripping it in two hands, began to read aloud from it, straining to make himself heard. Right, sir. First, I'm going to write about one of the nicest things that happened to me. At my house, we have a pasture with lots of cows and sheep. One cow had a baby 2 days ago. I helped my daddy by stroking the cow's back with a handful of straw while she was having the baby. That makes the cow warm up so it's easier for her to give birth. The baby was born just before the sun came up. It was a tiny baby, but could already stand on its own legs. A baby! Wow! I'm going to take care of this baby until it gets big. Dear little calf, hurry up and grow, okay? The general had tears in his eyes. This guy's really good at giving you chills with the way these stories are written, and like the kinetic typography of that just being the only thing on the screen there. Now I'm going to write about one of the saddest things that happened to me. That was when my grandma got sick and died. She was such a nice grandma. I know her sickness made her feel bad, but she was always smiling when I was around. She let me hold her hand when she died. I watched her face the whole time because I knew I wouldn't be able to see her anymore, and I wanted to remember her even after I grew up. She just kept smiling and smiling right to the very end. That's why she's always smiling when I think of her. Are you looking down on me from the sky, Grandma? I'll never forget you as long as I live. Tears were streaming down the General's face. When the ceremony ended, the General left his village and headed for the town where the army headquarters were located. There he wrote a long letter to the king, and he gave his sword to his most trusted lieutenant. The General had decided to retire. This was as big a surprise to me as it was to anybody, but when I heard that little boy's essay, it occurred to me, what makes us really human is to celebrate each life that comes into the world and mourn each life that is lost. I didn't need medals anymore. I didn't need the honor of being allowed into the presence of His Majesty anymore. I wanted to be a real human being again. As a result, overnight I went from being the village hero to being reviled as a traitor. General turns to face Kaim and asks, "So are you going to mock me as a coward who ran away from the battlefield, or blame me for being a deserter who betrayed his own patriotism?" Kaim turns a gentle smile on the old man. "Neither," he says. "As a soldier, you made the wrong decision, but as a human being, you made the right one." The General strokes his white beard and says, "My habit has changed too. Nowadays, I find myself stroking my beard when I'm embarrassed." Two men look at each other and smile. "Okay, back to work," says the General, standing with a grunt. He calls out to his troops. Oh, it's cool. "Alright, men, it's all downhill from here. Let's give it one last push and get back to the village before sunset." The troops under the General's command consist of 30 sheep, not one of whom is likely to take a person's life. "Tell me, Kaim, are you planning to go back into battle at some point?" "I don't really know," he replies. "I'm content with herding sheep for now," the General says. "I don't have the least regret for the decision I made that day. It would make me happy to think this could be a kind of lesson for you." With this parting remark, the General turns away from Kaim and begins walking. The sheep amble along after him in newly formed ranks. Standing at attention, the General raises his right arm and waves his troops on. "Forward, march!" The command he had once delivered to tens of thousands of men in the battlefield now echoes pleasantly among the mountains of his native village. That was a nice one. It was bittersweet. He got exiled from his town as a traitor. Treasure hunt deep in memory. What? How many of those are there? Where do I get to my treasure hunt list? System? Upstreamers was pretty cool. I thought it showed it to me earlier. I'm not sure where to find it now, though. So it's like a different menu. Item? I was correct. Treasure beyond the waterfall, hidden somewhere in Tuska Village, a present for Kaim from the children. Yeah. That was a good one, though. I like how he's just kind of rolling his eyes at them, celebrating his victories, and the kid just comes up and he's like, "I'm a happy kid. I didn't die." He'd find it reasonable to retire. Yeah, I like how even Kaim is like, "You made the wrong decision as a soldier." Shut up, dude. One thing I really like about those stories is they're very efficiently written. It's like every sentence is important. I don't feel like there's any crust in there. That's generally true of Mandarin's a lot like that. If you read a translated Mandarin proverb, it's very precise. It actually makes it kind of hard if you're reading like Buddhist literature, because it's super dense. You can't tune out at all. Ooh, immunity to petrify. Let's get composite magic first, and then we'll do immunity to petrify. Everyone seems scared of that old sorceress, but I don't think she's a monster. Keelalon is the guardian spirit of the village, would have to be good or else he won't protect me. Marty, what are you doing up here already? This cat. First of all, he's not a jumping cat with his balance problem. Marty! Marty! Danger zone. What are you doing? Why are you on the desk? It's like 2:45. You're not supposed to start being a jerk for another couple hours. It's people's Marties. Seeds of Terror. You're gonna get petrified and not be able to change your skills in mid-battle and have to reload. Right. Probably need to equip it on everybody. I bet petrification is what got me killed, now that I think about it. For the thing that uses the terror. Seed of Terror makes a fear ring, which occasionally causes terror. Hey. 22 seeds. Oh, that's cool. That's why we collect seeds. I don't like wanton slaughter of children. Just don't like when stories present children as being in danger, but then they secretly have a character shield. Actually worse than my existing weapon? That's a bummer. I guess I could have gotten it quite a bit earlier if I had found more of those. MP Absorb. Biokiller Water Damage. So I think that's comparable to the text on the Osmosis Ring, or the Soul Ring. Okay, it's the same MP. So it's strictly better against the biological enemy or an enemy is weak against water than the Soul Ring. I know, right, Chaos? I said it was worse than I could have possibly imagined, and I am pretty good at imagining things being bad. So that's, how do you have roomfuls of people? Like, to make a show like that, you gotta have grip techs, you gotta have best boys, you gotta have... There's gotta be hundreds of people in the credits for it, and nobody was like, this is fundamentally a bad idea. If they just called it Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, that would have been fine. Reboot. For a bomb. The CG show from the 90s. Super good. Started off pretty goofy and then got like super serious partway through to the second season and got really rad after that. Generic crappy techie action kid show. Yeah, for sure. I wonder if this thing gives me a reward every 10 seeds that I unlock. I'm sure I've missed some. Like, finding all the seeds seems like it's a... You gotta have a walkthrough type of situation. Yeah, it's probably gonna be at 40. He gives me something else. There's supposed to be trade out different kinds of upgrades, I guess. Alright, it looks like it lets me, like, upgrade. Okay, right on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, given that CG shows are so popular now. It was a really cool setting, though. It was like, it took place inside a computer, and it was about programs and software in the computer kind of being repurposed temporarily whenever a user would load up a game. And then they would get deleted if they didn't succeed in beating the user in the game. Kind of hand-wavy, but it was a cool concept. They'd load in the game and they would be basically the NPC characters fighting the player. But they were the good guys. Beast Wars was good. Beast Wars might be my favorite Transformers fiction. Yeah, lots of computer puns. Your character dot matrix. Crypto mining rig. This is torture, right? There's game cubes everywhere. I think that reboot aged pretty well because of the setting, right? It wasn't supposed to look photorealistic. The forced labor resort. So. Make this 10 times more efficient. I don't think there's something up here, but let me just double check really quick. This would be a great town to teach me the ability I need to kill the kilolungs, the silver ones. It's called roulette. And the animation's pretty stiff. Gamble, I think, is the one, yeah. I don't think I have it yet. Time's pretty good at stuff, but he's slow.
I'll go speak with the king. We've never met, but I've heard he's very wise. I'm confident that he has a ship that can get us past the hypercurrents.
Wow, that hit the spot. You know, I'm finally starting to feel at home.
You're a beautiful treasure.
No?
Are you even listening to me?
There's a time and place for that stuff, and this is neither. Tell me, is it really true you can't drink?
Yes.
That is so sad. But you're a queen. I mean, don't you have wine or champagne at parties or banquets, hangings, any festive thing like that?
No.
Not at all.
Well, look it. Nobody knows us here. Come on, just give it a try. I guarantee you'll like it. Really.
She doesn't have like a crown
It won't
and
kill you, I promise. In fact,
absurd
I bet if you
opulent
take a couple
costume.
drinks, you might get your memory back. Yeah, it relaxes the mind and other things.
You think so?
Absolutely. Hey, look at me. You're talking to Jansen here. Bottoms up.
Bottoms up.
This guy's such a scumbag.
What? You don't like the cheap stuff?
No, it's just I've never tasted anything like it before.
You don't have to force yourself to drink it.
No, I want my memory back. If there's any chance this will help, I'll manage to drink it.
She is... Okay, now it's at an angle where it would make sense that she would be able to drink it.
Are you, okay?
Ooh, I feel very lightheaded all of a sudden. It's
Fast
affecting me
acting.
like you said it would. Oh, your muscles
Yeah, well-
are so...
Hey, oh! Oh, no.
Right. I think it's because Jansen's a scumbag. She's just reenacting the Marstead stream. That's a creepy thing to say, dude.
Jansen!
What? Oh!
What the hell do you think you're doing?
It's a good question.
Well, we was having a serious discussion about, you know, what's going to happen next. And planning.
Happen next?
Yeah. You know, she's going to talk to the king and get us a ship, because yours can't float where the... You know, after all, Goats has got the most advanced technology around. We'd figure we'd get a more seaworthy ship from him. So that, you know... What?
All right. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt this time. But don't try any funny business with Ming.
Yeah, well, I'm looking out for her too, you know. I mean, look how restful she looks right now.
I'm almost positive that that Ming was written in a vacuum compared to what her character model looks like. Be really interested to hear what Sakaguchi thinks about that. Were there any really absurd... Let's think about this. Sakaguchi-driven games. He didn't have all his hands over Final Fantasy X, because Lulu is the first one that I think about. I think 9, everyone was pretty reasonable. 8, I guess Quistis was a whip lady, but she was still dressed pretty reasonably. 7, everybody was pretty reasonable. Tifa's costume's a little over the top, but not completely absurd. And that's Tetsuya Nomura. That's not even Sakaguchi's influence. Oh, what's the story of her design in Dark Souls? I haven't heard that. We definitely see there's been quite a bit of writer-artist disconnect in this game, especially around like the stories from the Japanese author. Really? Miyazaki wasn't pleased, but the designer was so happy he couldn't bring himself to shoot it down. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, I remember that seeming weird. I mean, it felt unsettling because of her being a giant, but I was still like, this doesn't seem like the kind of game to do that. Maybe as like a succubus monster or something, but... Trust for the well-being of the seeker. Please make yourself at home. Giant boob lady. She was also literally a giant. She was a giant who had giant boobs for a giant. It's the amazing chest ahead. Like, it works with Quelaag because she's a gross, terrifying spider monster who pukes lava on your face, right? She's not just a surprise quest NPC. I think the biggest disconnect I've seen between the writers and the art departments probably in Mass Effect 1. Maybe Mass Effect 2 as well. There's a lot of little sequences where the characters are describing something that's clearly not there. Right?
Hey, Kime! I heard you were back.
This place takes me back. And it looks like the years have been good to you.
Knock it off. I'm a bona fide old man now.
Well, if you don't mind my saying so, you've aged really well.
Oh, I miss... Yeah. You split it.
Thanks, honey. Drink up. This is on the house.
Well, that is mighty nice. I don't mind if I do. Can I have that big, large mug over there?
I was only 7 when you saved the village, but I remember you as if it were yesterday. You were a hero to us kids back then.
His
Yeah?
unimportant character animations are very Final Fantasy X.
So,
We're
we're trying to get to
giant, considerate, caring woman. Kind of we all lost when we grew up. That's what I wanted to make. Oh, that's such a specific way to phrase that. I love Miyazaki. Just wanted to put a mouth in the palm of her hand. We made all the animations. It didn't make it to the final game. It happened without my knowledge. It's all the artist's fault. The artist is just a happy look on his face. I didn't have the heart to stop him. That's funny.
Forget it. The only way is through the Black Cave.
I heard it'd been closed off by some old sorceress.
There's nothing to be afraid of. We'll just bust our way through.
It's not that simple. Neither muscle nor magic have had any effect. Although adventurers with plenty of both have tried. My guess is that only that old sorceress can bust through the blockage. She's got some serious magic energy. Yep, she sure does.
Why don't we wait until she goes to the bathroom? Then we can, sneak by
I wonder
her.
what his thought was on putting a mouth in her hand.
Oh, it gets better. You know that place?
It sounds like maybe he was thinking more like the giant fairies, right?
Has moved in.
Because she's thin for a giant.
What? Hey, you don't even
It sounds
have
like
a
his
disagreement?
vision was a little bit more of like a jovial fat woman.
We kept the place up after you and Sarah went away, so it'd be ready if you ever came back.
Right, Prophet Cable.
But I'm afraid she's made a mess of it. Sorry.
Don't trouble yourself. It saves us the hassle of having to look for her.
That's a good point.
The only thing to do with squatters is run them out.
Well, I think you'll be okay. Just be careful, Kime.
We're off to kick some old woman's butt. That doesn't sound right.
You're not gonna go off and leave me
This
like
character.
this, are you?
We'll head out there
Okay.
tomorrow morning.
That's reasonable. So not chubby like the Great Fairies. Interesting. So Miyazaki pretty inspired by Berserk? It's like an ultra-violent manga. It's like a doting mother, but huge. Gotcha. Why not? Of course. I guess you could maybe argue, technically Guinevere's she's an illusion, right? Created by Gwendolyn. So who knows what the real Guinevere looks like? She's long gone. I'm good. Is that a shop up there? I'm not actually sure what the purple icon means. It is a shop. Right on. Components. Let's see. Killing Cutlass is an upgrade for Seth. Battle Discus is a mild upgrade. I'm doing okay on money. Ooh, counterattack. Yes, please. You can also learn that from Skill Link, but level 3 black and white magic will be good for everybody to learn. Immunity to Kalalon. Immunity to Dizzy. Level 1 spirit magic. This one. I want to make sure I have at least 5 of all of these things, so I can unlock more of the rings. Actually, it's cheap enough that I can probably push 10 of everything. Oops, one more. Okay. Now, let's check everybody's equipment and talk to this guy again. First of all, I guess let's look at ring assembly. Is there anything new that we can get to now that we... Bruiser Ring Ultra, Draining Ring. I don't need to absorb enemy HP. Osmosis Ultra requires magic sealing of vases, which I've never found. Numbing, jamming. Okay, nothing super important. Can Seth use that new sword I just got? She can, but it's weaker than a steel sword. It's really interesting. Okay, let's try to learn. Let's see. She already got counter from learning it from Mac. Going ahead and learning level 3 black-white magic is probably correct. You might want to have multiple copies of that. What do we want Ming to learn here? She already has a lot of these magics. Because everybody can get composite magic once they've learned some spirit magic. Let's do the status effect immunity first, I guess. Alright. So we want to get Killing Cutlass for Seth. Battle Discus for Mac, and I think we got a staff upgrade. Let me double check. Dark Crystal Staff for Jansen only. She's got a Princess Cane. Killing Cutlass. Battle Discus. So Ming is the last character that I could... Well, actually, no. Technically also Cook, but I don't really use her. Ranunculus. Quarterstaff. Yeah, it's a very mild upgrade. It's fairly expensive. Yeah, it's interesting, because I'm never going to physically swing with them, right? I can still give them rings, and sometimes there's a reason to do that. Right. Good night, Kai Mom. Thanks for hanging out. Catch you next time. I forgot to grab another, thingamajig. Accessory that lets you use level 3 black and white magic. I'm gonna swing back and do that real quick. Probably just give that to one of my other permanent characters. Mac. Lots of plot party restrictions. It wasn't too bad though, right? I felt like you had access to most of your party for most of the game. I think, what are the sections where you don't? Maybe even one more, it's expensive, but... There's the Via Purifico. Andrea's sister Lisa. I don't think she ever beat Final Fantasy X because she won every battle by using Yuna, so as soon as they take Yuna out of your party, you get completely hosed. Yeah. Adept earrings. Cool. They can both already use level 3 magic, right? Level 3. Yeah, okay, cool. Right. Glad you're not going to war. Another memory? Holy shit. Oh, nice, Serp. Yeah, I'm doing... In theory, we're doing a D&D session next week, Wednesday, right after the regular stream. But, that might change, and then after it happens, Matt's out of town for like 3 weeks, so we won't get another one for a while. The first one's just going to be mechanics and combat and skill checks and stuff. There's basically going to be no story or roleplay, so just want to gate stuff for Lisa, Matt, and Dursey since they're not familiar with tabletop RPGs, and my system is like super mechanics heavy. Should still be fun to watch though, I think. Planted some cool references and stuff in there. There's no way to keep the village from becoming a battlefield. The enemy forces have crossed the northern pass and made their camp close by. Home forces are here too, sending one unit after another into the village to resist the enemy's attack. The place is a powder keg. Yeah, just for the first tutorial adventure. Yeah, I feel like after Beaconell Island, Spiky, the game's pretty smooth sailing, and you finish Beaconell Island and it's rough after that. Ringed by mountains where two highways intersect, the village is a crucial focal point for transport. It cannot be allowed to fall into enemy hands, while its capture is essential to any hopes the enemy might have for victory in the war. Long years of fighting have come down to this one major battle. It is a battle that must be waged. The logic is clear, simple, inevitable. It will transform this tranquil village into a battlefield at any moment. The army has ordered the villagers to evacuate. Non-combatants can only get in the way. The enemy wants to settle this before the weather turns cold. So what does that mean? Another month? 2 weeks? Got your stuff packed? No sense getting caught in the middle and killed. Talk about dying for nothing. Better forget about taking any pots and pans with you. Pack as light as you can and get away as far as you can. Think of all the generations our ancestors guarded. Think of all the generations our ancestors guarded our houses and land. I hate to think it's going to turn into a wasteland when the fighting starts. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just plain bad luck, that's all. We just have to hang in there till the war is over and come back when we find out who won. The main thing is to get out now. Right, it's all we can do. We've got to stay alive. Better not hope for anything more than that. Why the hell does this have to happen to us? Villagers leave a few at a time, beginning with the first ones to find temporary shelter. By the time the forest is lightly tinged with red, the village is practically deserted. The only ones left are old folks who live alone and have no one and no place to run to. The army's built a crude refugee camp for any evacuees able to cross several mountains to reach it. The aged poor stagger in with little more than the clothes on their back. The only one left in the village is Grandma Koto. The bread of Grandma Koto. As a mercenary, Kaim first met old Koto shortly after he joined the unit protecting the village. He was on an inspection round at the time when he spotted an old woman working in the field. She turned out to be Grandma Koto. A soldier with him yelled at her, "Hey, old lady, enough of that." Another man shouted, "You better get out of here now if you want to stay alive. The fight's going to start in 2 or 3 days. How many times do we have to tell you to go to the damn refugee camp?" But old Koto stayed hunched over, digging in the dirt. Obviously, she wasn't harvesting anything. If this had been a time when the grain had ripened and she was hurrying to harvest her crops, it might have made sense, but she was just turning the soil as if she had forgotten that a battle was about to start here at any moment. Is the old bag deaf or just senile? With a disgusted look, the captain called over to Kaim. "Hey, new guy, do something about this one. Drag her to the refugee camp if you have to tie a rope around her neck." Every now and then I read a sentence, and I realize I should have put the emphasis somewhere else by the time it's over, and I'm like, ugh. So I think what I need to do is I need to read a sentence ahead, and then say it. We can't have her wandering around out here. He's just going to get in the way when the fighting starts. The captain's tone was arrogant. The more cowardly a commanding officer is, the more arrogant and overbearing his style becomes, and the less he's able to conceal his nervousness when a battle's nearing. Kaim strode silently toward the old woman in the field. "We'll go on ahead," the captain called up behind him, but he did not turn around. Only a few days would be needed to decide the outcome of the battle for the village, which is a reflection of how violent it promised to be. For this reason, working the fields now was pointless. Even the most carefully cultivated patch of ground would be crushed under the soldiers' boots. Harvest next year was out of the question. Nor was it even clear how many years it would take to restore the village to its former tranquility. When Kaim approached her in the field, the old woman kept working and said, "Don't try to stop me." She looked and sounded much tougher than she had seemed from a distance. She might have been one of those stubborn, cranky old folks that people kept their distance from when the village was at peace. "You're not going to evacuate?" Kaim asked. "What the hell for?" she spat. "They built a camp you can go to." Old Koto gave a snort and said to Kaim, "You're a new one. I've never seen you before." "Yes." "You don't even know what the camp's like. You soldiers have nothing to worry about." "What do you mean?" Old Koto said nothing but pointed toward the steep mountain standing like a painted screen on the west side of the village. Kaim asked, "Is that where the camp is?" "Hell no! You have to cross that mountain and another one to get to it. Nobody my age can walk that far. What's the point of building a camp in a place like that? How many old folks do they think are going to make it over there? They might as well leave us out in the hills to die like in the old days." Kaim was at a loss for an answer. Continuing her digging, the old woman grumbled, "That's how the government does everything." We're an autonomous commune. He was clearly angry, perhaps less angry than sad. "Old woman, man." "Old man, 35. Called Dennis? You're on an inspection tour, right? Well, don't let me stop you." "No, you see. You're not going to get me to go to any damn refugee camp. That's all there is to it. I'm not going anywhere. This is the village I was born in, and I've lived here all my life. I know how you feel, but this place is going to turn into a battlefield soon. Ugh. I know that. So then, so what? Kaim was at a loss for words again. When she saw that, she smiled and said, "You're a sweet young man, kind of unusual in a soldier." Her expression had softened for the first time. When she stopped being so prickly, the smile she produced was actually rather endearing. When this place turns into a battlefield, people will die. Lots of them. I know that much, don't worry. But I have work to do, soldier boy. Telling me to leave my work and run away is like telling me to die. So if I'm gonna die anyway, and it won't be long now, I want you to let me do what I want to do. You shouldn't have a problem with that. Kaim fell silent, not because he was at a loss for words yet again, because he believed she was right. "If I'm gonna die anyway," she had said. Knowing he would never be able to speak such words, he had no choice but to bow silently to her will. "Alright then, run along there, Sonny. I got work to do." "What are you doing now?" "See for yourself." "Sorry, but I don't know much about farm work." "Like all the other soldiers," old Kodo said with a smile. "The only thing you people ever think about is killing enemies. You don't know anything about nurturing life. Killing enemies, it's very Japanesey phrasing." She let a hint of sorrow show again. Perhaps somewhat taken with Kaim, however, she favored him with an explanation. "Planting seeds," she said. "Grains of wheat. You sow them in the fall. They mature over winter, shoot up under the spring sun, and turn the fields golden in summer. I always do my planting when the northern mountain peaks turn white, every year, and this year's not going to be any different." Would the seeds mature in the trampled fields? Kaim had his doubts. Grandma Koto, however, displayed not the least anxiety or resignation as she scattered seeds in the newly turned soil. Her hands performed the age-old ritual with ease and naturalness, as if to impress upon Kaim the fact that what she was doing this year was nothing more nor less than what she had done every year before. As a result, Kaim's next words emerged with a smoothness that he himself found somewhat surprising. "What if the seeds don't grow?" It's my best to do a Kaim smoothness. "I'll just do it again next year, and if next year's bad, I'll do it again the year after that. You have to plant the seeds, that's how I've lived my life. If you don't plant, nothing will grow. See what I mean?" "I think so. Whether there's a fight or not, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to do what I have to do, that's all." She spoke with certainty, her wrinkled face softening into a smile as she added, "You can't even enjoy a meal if you know you haven't done things right." "You're saying that this is what gives your life its meaning?" This is the question to which Kaim had long searched for an answer. For what purpose had he been born into this world? What was he supposed to accomplish here? He had continued to roam through his life's endless journey without knowing the answer to these questions, indeed because he didn't know the answers. Thanks, Prop. "I don't know about deep stuff like that," Grandma Koto said shyly. "I just mill the wheat I've harvested and bake bread in the fall. The bread's really special. Nothing tastes as good as the first bread you make with the wheat you grew that year. That's what my grandson looks forward to every year. I can't just decide to take a year off now, can I?" "I see what you mean." "No, you don't," she declared. "You're nothing but a damn soldier." Her face had turned hard again. There were no more smiles from her that day. Kaim returned to the barracks. A soldier who had been stationed in the village for 6 months or more said to him, "That old bag hates our guts. Because we've ruined the village? That's part of it, I suppose, but it's got deeper roots than that for her. Grandma Koto had lost her entire family to war. First, her husband died in the war 40 years earlier, then her son and his wife in the war 20 years earlier, and now the one grandson they had left was taken to fight in the current war." "What's his unit?" Kaim asked the soldier. The man gave a helpless shrug and named a unit that had been sent to an area with the most intense fighting. "Talk about bad luck. The fighting's so bad out there, if it was me, I'd take my chances on being executed for deserting under fire. He's got maybe a 50-50 chance of coming back alive. No, maybe 30-70. If her grandson were to be killed, Grandma Koto would be all alone in the world. She'd have no one to feed her bread to." "It must be tough to be left alone at that age," the soldier said. Looking at old Koto, "I can't help thinking of my mother back home. There's no way I can let myself get killed. She'd never stop crying. Same for you too, eh, Kaim?" "Not really." Kaim said nothing in reply. He had no right to put himself in the same category as a soldier. The battle started 3 days later. The enemy army's attack was even fiercer than expected. The defense forces had no choice but to put everything they had into the fight. Kaim slipped away from the battlefront and headed for Grandma Koto's house. He found her leaving for the field as always. She gave no sign that she was afraid of the fighting. People who know exactly what they must do and who refuse to be distracted by anything else can be strong beyond all reason. Kaim saw now that there could be a far greater strength in a finite life than in one that lasted forever, and I completely agree with that. Because he sensed this so deeply, he stood before her, blocking her way. He lifted the tiny old woman in his arms and carried her bodily back to her house. "What are you doing? Let go of me! I'm not going to follow some soldier's orders. I have work to do." "Yes, I know that," Kaim said. "So put me down now!" "I don't want to let you die." Holding her against his chest, he looked her in the eye and pleaded with her. "I want you to bake bread next autumn for a new crop of wheat." She stopped flailing her arms and legs in a vain attempt to get free of his grip. She looked straight back at him as he said, "As long as you have someone to feed your freshly baked bread to, I want you to keep baking bread year after year." Koto heaved a huge sigh and muttered, smiling, "You're a really strange soldier." Battle raged on for several days. The arrogant, cowardly captain died in the fighting. The soldier who had told Kaim the story of Grandma Koto also died. Countless defense troops died, and countless enemy troops died. The village was consumed in the flames of war, and Old Koto's field was ravaged under the heels of the military. Kaim's side managed to stave off the attackers, then followed the retreating enemy to the north. All that remained in their wake was the empty, devastated village. The war ended as spring was giving way to summer. At the cost of massive casualties, the army repulsed the enemy's invasion. The village began to recover little by little. As Grandma Koto had predicted, not one old person who crossed the mountains to the refugee camp came back alive. Autumn, and Kaim has come back to the village. He feels warm in the chest when he looks across the field and spots Old Koto sowing wheat. So she's doing it again this year. And next year, and the year after that, for as long as she's alive. It actually happened at the beginning of the game. It was the opening scene of Lost Odyssey. Kaim was in a battle, and his side lost. He kind of just gets up at the end and is like, "Alright, I'm just gonna walk home." She notices Kaim and crosses toward him with a welcoming smile. A year has passed. She seems to have shrunk somewhat within a year's worth of aging. "Haven't seen you for a while," she says, "so they didn't kill you." "I'm glad to see you looking well, too. I heard you stayed near my house during the fight. You single-handedly fought to keep enemy troops away from it." Kaim gives her a shy smile. "How was your wheat?" he asks. "All ruined, of course. Worst crop I've ever had. A few scrawny stalks. Barely enough for one loaf." She tells him all this with surprising ease. Then she fixes her eye on him and asks, "Have some?" "What?" "Bread, of course. Bake a loaf now if you'll help me eat it." "Well, sure, but..." Grandma Koto sees through Kaim's hesitancy and says with a calm smile, "Yes, he's dead, my grandson. I got word at the end of summer. I was waiting and hoping, planning to bake him a loaf of bread as soon as he got home." She sees Kaim hanging his head in silence. She adopts a spirited tone as if she has to be the one to cheer him up. "Come on then, you eat what he would have had. It'll probably be tougher than usual with the wheat harvest being so bad, but I'm sure my grandson would be happy to know I fed my bread to the man who saved my life." So this old woman has lost her entire family to war. In other words, there's no one left to enjoy her bread. Still, she urges Kaim to wait just a minute while I finish this up, sowing the wheat for next year's harvest. She does it because that is what she's always done, because it's what she's supposed to do. Kaim stops himself from speaking the words, "Let me help," and he stands staring at Old Koto's bent back. "Oh, sorry, I can't eat gluten." In the glow of the setting autumn sun, she is sadly small and sadly beautiful. Kaim eats the fresh-baked bread. Old Koto was right. Made from wheat grown without its full measure of care, the bread is hard and dry and poor in taste. Still, of all the bread Kaim has eaten and will go on to eat in his long, long life, this is by far the most delicious. Stories are all really written, so you know when end's about to appear. That was a good one. Alright, let's progress. Sucks to be you, dude. We're playing Lost Odyssey for about another 50 minutes, 5-0. We're ending early today to try to get the schedule back on track for this game. In past subblocks, we've gone over by like 40 minutes over like 10 different sessions because of trouble getting back to a save point after one of those long stories or just being in a long sequence. What's the difference between... I feel like I've been to south. I'll go to north first before you go to the old Sorceress' mansion. Maybe that's just like the entrance you come in on, and it's just the same village. So around when the live split timer says 17 is when we're going to start looking for a save point to wrap up. Oh, it's the same town, it's just which entrance you start on. That makes more sense. Sorceress's mansion. Mm-hmm. $17 SP cheaper. Old Sorceress's mansion. It's Idea. Gotta find that woman. Mom used to live there? It's weird. Whoa. Cool. Oh, that's not creepy. It's a Shinra mansion. It was a ghost child. Catch up. Oops. Oh, there might be something in the back corner. Very spooky. Too spooky. Poem Fragment A. Thus all that lives does flow, thus do they fade away.
What's that? They look like pieces of a poem.
The sorceress did this, and she made a mess of everything. Let's get rid of her for good.
But wrote a poem? What are you talking about, Jensen? This dude, man. A lot of enemies. Too spoopy. We gotta teach him composite magic so he can hit everybody at some point. Nice dodge. Nice counter. Ooh, ow. That's not cool. Probably should have cast it on Ming instead. I'm sure she's a better caster. not sure what fear actually does. If it's like a paralyze or what. It looked like it landed. Nice. Chime spell's gonna do like 2 damage, right? For 2 turns, right? Please don't kill Mac. That was pretty good. Fortunately, the nasty ghosts in the back are resistant to all magic damage. Shit. It's gonna do 0 damage. Alright, that's okay. Shit happens. Oh, and his elemental damage on the weapon also makes it do 0. So I thought that was just additional damage. I didn't realize it was soul damage. Man, no wonder I was having trouble in my original playthrough back when this game came out 11 years ago. I didn't know that you could change rings in combat when I played this before, so I would have just been screwed in a fight like this if I had everybody with elemental weapons. Sorry, pal. Aw, that would have been good damage. Oh, it's like a paralysis, it looks like. Yep, and she hits for 1 still. Thanks, Ming. Good job.
Only the strong.
Oh, wow. Assume I'm a little under-leveled if it's giving me that much XP. Alright, let's see. How's everybody's skill link going? Currently learning Wall. Do I want Taunt instead? Eventually, maybe, actually. I'm not sure if there's physical spells, actually. That's a good question. Learning Wall. Learning Prayer. Oh, is force physical damage? That'd be nice. It's a pretty good spell. It's easier to cast. I'd have to reload the game to get a full heal. Carol. Was not expecting that door to open. Thought it was going to be locked. Far right side of the piano song. I think I've heard this song on Rainwave before. Or I must have gotten to this part because I remember it was the black cave that I was stuck in. That was a bow plate. Plate with a picture of a bow on it. I got this one way earlier. Found drop in the Highlands of Woe. That comes up somewhere else. There are battles here. What do you know?
I'm always ready.
Alright, let's kill the guys in the front. May as well use this since I can get MP back later. Physical damage, you're correct. Or a force all? No, it's too bad. These guys might be magic damage only, yeah. Well, shit. I guess now we have a full enough party that they can get away with that, right? Nice. 0. Silence, basically, I assume. Probably should start stealing. I feel like the steal rate in this game is pretty bad, though. Nice. Man, they really like to focus down Mac for some reason. And there goes all my work. Not the thing I wanted you to hit, but that's fine. Nice. Zero. Oh, don't kill Mac. Wow. Cutting it close. Yikes. Alright, so Ming and Jansen have pretty comparable spell damage, it looks like. Oh, they leveled up again. Wow, I must have been really under-leveled coming in here. I thought I was actually doing okay on that curve. Alright, so I need to heal with these three because they're the ones who can actually recover MP. We gotta get a level 2. We need to get like Cure 2. Level 1 heal ain't really cutting it. What? The nameplate doesn't count. Alright, I'll have to learn the pattern somewhere else, I guess. Let's pop out for now. I take the one out that's already in there. Can I see it more closely? Can I kick the last child out of the Cool Kids Club? Yeah, I feel like it's interesting, it's self-balancing that you could have a party of all immortals, but the problem is that then they won't learn new skills because they learn their skills from the other characters. And then you're spreading your skill seeds pretty thin. because Seth is casting it. Is there magic that bad? Creepy ghost child. I like the BGM here. It's creepy. Warmth brings no solace. Otherwise, they're pretty garbage, you're saying? Watch the mirror take us to another version of the same place.
It's now or never.
Alright. Physical, physical, physical. Force. Force. Well, even like Mac is a decent-ish mage. He's got spirit magic. I guess spirit magic is almost all buffs and debuffs though, isn't it? Oh, so close to a one-shot. 450 wasted damage. Some change. Hey, it missed. Lucky me. Max, come on. Jack of all trades. Party members that aren't currently active in your group, they continue to get XP in this game? I don't think so, right? I might need to bring Cook back in just so that she can get new healing skill links for everybody else. It's an interesting way to incentivize you not just using the same party for the whole game. I do that in virtually every RPG I play. More games need to use the fatigue system from like XCOM and Darkest Dungeon. I don't think so. Looking for a jewel. Gotcha. I need to find out the name of this BGM and rip it off. We'll use it in D&D. Spooky.
It's now or never.
I can go check after this fight if I can swap Kime out or not. Oh, they still count as being in the front row. That's convenient. Probably gonna kill everything faster if I do. Well, let's see. No enemies? Yeah. Hey, 3 perfects. Please don't. Please don't. It's still breathing, good. Looks like it has a decent chance of missing. Oh wait, no, he is petrified. It's like a gradual petrification effect. It must give me a chance to heal it. It's nice. jerk. Yeah, I guess instead I'm going to be using Jansen and Ming's MP to attack all the time, because there's no reason for them to physically attack. So they shouldn't be healing, because healing would be competing with their MP usage, and Keimseth and Mac can't heal for shit. But, at least they're not using their MP for anything else, and I can regenerate it by getting perfects in these combats. Like that.
It's not in my nature to lose.
It's not in my nature to lose. It's naughty by nature. If I heal out of combat, I'll probably use them to heal off him in battle. Cook's not very good either. What are they doing on their skill links? Ways to go. Oh, interesting. If you skill link to someone who's not in your party, you don't learn anything at all. Wonder why it lets you skill link stuff that you already know. Oh, wait, that's not what that means. Now the question is that room always... Oh, you mean when I'm not using her? I didn't realize I could still activate her from here. That makes sense. It's convenient. I can have a party that doesn't have Keim. Interesting. I would not have expected that. I just can't interact with the door again after triggering it the first time. Gotcha. Spoopy.
I can do this!
I think the last thing I did is still correct here. Ish. He has this battle disc, but he still runs up and just kind of punches him in the face. I forgot that I could do formation outside of a save point. That takes work. Get very rare games that'll occasionally model all of your gear, right? Shit, they must all have like a couple of hit points left. Oh, I didn't tell on Mac's model because he's too short. It looks like it like makes your legs made out of stone. Sorry, pal. Model gear.
What a waste of time.
Final Fantasy has been doing weapons for basically ever? I'm trying to think. Odyssey 4 had custom weapon sprites. Hey, part of the weird mirror hype. Alright, let me top everybody off, and I'll go back and do the cheese thing to get everyone's MP filled up. I guess I'll do the couple doors first. My guess is you go through the mirror and it takes you to another version of the mansion where you can open that chest.
We have no choice.
Thanks, Megman. Right. Odyssey 14 models your Lalithel's ring. You missed. Who is the accessories? Whoops. Double whoops. There we go. I'm very sensitive to the angle they're running at, whether or not I'm gonna land that for some reason. It doesn't make any sense, like why that would affect my ability to land it. Dark Metamorphosis. Oh, they sound so sad. Cool.
Wow, have you fallen for me yet?
No. Level 3 spirit magic, okay. Change everybody's gear. He's still learning. She's got a ways to go. Let's get her the composite magic. Can't learn anything. She can learn stuff. Let's continue to go for stuff that grants status effect immunity. Let's do the stone immunity. I'm worried about that. More and more enemies appear to be using it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had to cast heal 7 times with the white mage character to top her off. I think that's part of it, is that heal just isn't very good. What is the magic delay effect? That means that when you hit with the attack, it makes it take the enemy longer to finish casting, basically. Maybe it's just not for me, but I cannot take crit upgrades when it's at the exclusion of other kinds of upgrades. If you give me something that's like, this gives you plus 20 to damage, and something that's like, this gives you an enough increased critical chance that it's effectively a plus 40 to damage average over all attacks, I will always take the first one over the second one, even if the second one's mathematically correct. If you're gonna do crit buffs, it actually makes it kind of hard for me conceptually to build my characters in games like Diablo 3. Because crit chance is so necessary. In that game, I guess it's a little bit easier because you're attacking, you know, sometimes hundreds of times per second, so you're guaranteed to see the benefits of it right away. Yeah, or Marstead or lack thereof. I don't like banking on the lucky crit. Chance 2 stuff turns me off. Alright, let's cheese it. God, if you load your game in this game, you get a full heal for some reason. It's gotta just be an oversight. That was a network error. Alright, we're back. Wasn't anything up here, right? Okay. Alright, well that narrows down our options. Fantastic. I like narrowed down options. Let's try putting it back. Yeah, sounds exciting. Not at all horrific. We were able to walk through that giant person-sized mirror.
Oh my god. Oh my god! Although actually it was sort of obvious.
Xenoblade Chronicles, I think, has 25. Final Fantasy 14 was getting there, but it depends on the expansion. Can't go back. Push this. God, it's the most suspicious. Okay. I just have to be standing in the right place. Can I only push it from the left? Maybe, huh? Maybe that'll make it possible for me to get the chest later. That's all I can guess. Hi, Marty.
Yikes!
How are you? It's very clean, apparently. Do those views count as being in the back? They don't. Nice. Hey. So scritchy. Saving in the mirror will have loaded your save instead. Ow, God. Shit hurts. Sorry, pal. Oh, scritchy. Hey, there we go. Nice.
I am the greatest!
Mac and Jansen learn new shit. Right on. I don't think I have any level 4 spirit magic. I don't think we found the spellbooks for it yet. Shadow, moderate non-elemental damage on all enemies. We want to learn that with all of our immortals, because you probably get better composite magic if you do. Mac, level 4. Mac, level 4. Mac, level 4. Next up, let's pop everybody off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 heals. Top off Mac, who has the least hit points. Well, not the least, but 4. Everybody's learning stuff. Wait, everyone's learning stuff. We're good. Doors can't be opened at all. Oh, interesting. Can't open these doors. It must only be in the haunted world. It's a really interesting, intentionally discordant song, right? I didn't even notice those little vases. They might be on the opposite side as well. I'll have to double check.
I'm always ready.
Look at these creepy coast children play piano. I'm not good at it. Nice. Please target it. Alright. Don't target the other thing that you can possibly kill. It is not my bad for not having him start by attacking one of them, right? Thank you for stealing somebody doesn't matter. Oh my god, ow. No sorry, pal. Dark Metamorphosis. Later, guys. I wonder if it's only, I wonder if it's only the Immortals that can do composite magic. It would make sense. Window Bomb. Mana Capsule. Passed within the mirror. We used to never lock this. Why'd you build such a creepy mansion, Kaim? Not cool, dude. Alright, good. I have easy access to a save point. Mortality does things to you. Cool. So in like 13 minutes or so, we'll sneak back to this save point. Given the way the level's outlaid, I don't think we're gonna be worrying about going over. Also, there's a surprise cutscene that's 20 minutes long halfway through the dungeon, or a surprise memory. Given literally forever, you can become a millionaire. Hey, now the statue's broken. It's moved in the past. There's one of the plates I needed to progress. It's exciting. Right, inverted in the mirror world. Even though the two sides are basically already kind of inverted looking. No, I can't open these ones either. Interesting. Fry. Nestled within the sadness. Alright, let's read these poem fragments here. Oh, I can't. Interesting. Alright, and I still need one more plate. That was creepy and unexpected.
Ooh, I think I'm gonna like this.
That was the sound. Be cool when unexpected genres do a horror sequence. This particular group of enemies is starting to approach that problem we were talking about before with Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga. It's like, alright, you gotta solve the combat, and now apply that solution like 10 more times. I guess that's true for a lot of JRPGs, but battles take a while in this game. Just because of how long the animations are. So it's a little bit more noticeable. And the way spellcasting works. That was the thing with Digital Devil Saga, is usually you couldn't win on the first turn. You'd have to force a win over 2 or 3 turns. Pretty indulgent, yeah. I hear that. I'm okay with the melee ring animation, it's kinda cool. But I don't need the mob to do this for like a second and a half before it shoots out its soul absorb, right? It can just do the soul absorb instantly. I guess if you deny the enemy any chance to act, you can just win.
That was very fun.
I do like myself some snappy animations and snappy menus. Not every game has that, for sure. And my healbot's out. Oh, I thought we saw her on the back wall there. Interesting. Yeah, that's cool. It'd be nice if more games did that, especially if you're gonna give commands to your entire party at once. You may as well have them all act simultaneously. Yeah, the Persona games, they do a lot that I disagree with, but they certainly nail the snappiness of the UI and stuff. Feels very clean. I imagine 5 is better than 4, and 4 was already pretty good. Very clean, very clear what was going on. Go to the other side.
Okay, here goes.
Yeah, that's good. Given how grindy Persona is. You wouldn't want the battles to feel longer because you're having to put up with that. They can go really quick. I feel like I used to be able to like one-shot these books. Maybe they're a different brand of book? Oh, they're in the back row this time. Previously they were still showing you the front row. That makes sense. early game's a little sluggish. Why is that? Don't kill Mac. Fortunately, they always get to go first. I bet they're immune to magic, too. Or at least very resistant to magic. Wish I could control everybody's turn order. At least kill one of the boots. They do a lot of damage. Due to limited resources and spell options for finding the weaknesses of enemies. At the end of Persona 5, like, you get enough upgrades, it just tells you all of that up front without you having to learn it manually. Do they keep that kind of ease in a Persona 5, or is that just a golden thing that we might not ever see again? I hope P5 doesn't move backwards in anything that Golden did. It sounds like it went backwards on Golden Hands, which is kind of a bummer. There's not too much else other than that. Okay, now that's enough for them to recover some MP here. Can't go in there in the past, that's interesting, but I can climb up these stairs, which I couldn't do before. Okay, so it's showing me what up is. Bow needs to be the left of the vase. I think it needs to point to the pot, right? Go back and double check, but I think that's where it was pointed before. Somebody was saying that it's grindier, like in Persona 4 Golden they make it a lot easier for you to level up because you can just focus on Golden Hands and they weaken the amount of XP they gave you. So it's more conventional fighting the same enemies over. Ooh, level 3 spirit magic. Yes, please. Let's get right on that. So one more learn Petrify Immunity. Fight every encounter once, you're good. What do you mean by being non-random? That's Sarah. You identified her earlier. We've had a lot of flashbacks involving her and a little kid. Oh, not... Okay, I see what you mean. Once you recognize the enemies on the stage, you can stop fighting them. Gotcha. Let's see. The dungeons aren't random at all? Is there some randomness? That's pretty surprising to me. Now, if you run up one floor and go back a floor, like the enemies don't respawn. Huh. You can respawn them. Okay. Alright, that brings us about to time. It's like shortest regular weekday stream ever, but it's gonna be a little janky until we finish Substravaganza here in a couple weeks. Cameron's been really sick too. There is one random dungeon. Okay, gotcha. Oh, I gave up my black magic. Shit. Prism. All flare. Try to kill. Oh, it still takes less damage. For some reason, I felt like the guard condition didn't matter for magic, but I guess it does. It's interesting. Ooh, that's very bad. Please don't hit Jansen or Ming. Okay, that's fine. He doesn't have any black magic equipped right now, anyway. Wow. Good lord. 740 damage. It's all sealed. Looks like I'm gonna be casting Shadow here. Please don't hit Seth. Training's not that necessary. Levels dictate the level of persona you can get. Isn't Persona 5 the one where like every social link gives you a unique mechanical unlock? Or virtually every Persona does that? I started toying with that idea in Persona 4 I felt like, but it was only a few that mattered. That's cool. More cookies would be nice.
There's no rhyme or reason to that.
Hey, level 4 spirit magic. Shit, enter. No puzzles, no puzzles, no puzzles, no puzzles. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies. It's a short walk. Can we make it? It's possible to max them all out if you do them in a general right order. Yeah, it's true in all of the Persona games, isn't it? Or is it like easier to max them all out than usual? Yep. Just 2 minutes though. Not as bad. Awesome. Thanks everybody. I'll let you know what's coming up tomorrow and next week.